Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch every one and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are once again hanging out with our pals in Fraggle Rock as we wrap up February of 1986 and head into March of 1986 with the 7th, 8th, and 9th episodes of Season 4 of Fraggle Rock, titled The Perfect Blue Rollie, A Brush with Jealousy, and Wembley's Flight. And once again, not the order you will see on Apple TV Plus if that's where you're watching along with us. But I did realize the thumbnail images are in the right order.
This is they're applied to the wrong episode?
Yeah, the
dear.
thumbnail for A Tune for Two on Apple TV Plus is Boober with the Perfect Blue Rollie. The thumbnail for the Perfect Blue Rollie is Gobo with his little guitar. So as we continue through Fraggle Rock Seasons 4 and 5, just a quick reminder, the order's weird, the amount of seasons is weird. We're going off of Muppet Wiki, so we are wrapping up Season 4 soon. We've got Season 5 coming up in 1987. And yeah, just go along with the titles we tell you if you want to watch along with us. But before we get into discussing Fraggle Rock this week, Sam, I have an update. Remember that review that I read out at the end of the Stooge with Verighe's episode?
I
cut
do.
off?
The very dramatic. Yeah, what happened to this person?
Well, I don't have an update on what happened to them, but I think, thankfully, all that happened was they sent the review a little earlier than they meant to send it because they reached out to us via email to say, hey, sorry, here is my full review. And it is much longer, but it's also very good. So I wanted to read it to you and the listeners.
Okay.
I came into the world the same month and year as The Muppet Show. And to say that Henson was a formative part of my life would be a drastic understatement. Sesame Street taught me how to read, The Muppet Show introduced me to essential culture from the 1940s through 70s, and Fraggle Rock basically calibrated my entire moral compass.
Oh, wow. Just as Jim intended.
So, when I heard there was a podcast hosted by kids who had watched Muppet Babies on cable, I have to admit to some typical Gen X skepticism and fear.
Oh, okay.
What an incredible relief and delight, then, to discover that Matthew and Sam hold the same love, reverence, and occasional good-spirited confusion that I've always felt for the Henson-verse. I sat down to write this after fully catching up on every episode, so I feel 100% qualified to recommend this entire podcast to any Muppets fan, but especially those who appreciate a sweet, silly, and sometimes uncomfortably sexy journey through this epic body of work.
This is the perfect review of our show.
That is the perfect summary of commitment.
They understand us.
We should just put that on a t-shirt. Sweet, silly, and sometimes uncomfortably sexy.
We're almost 40. To be called a kid is a delight.
Yeah. We're at the age where you go to buy some alcohol at the store, they no longer ask for your ID. They just give you a quick glance and then boop, 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 into the computer. They know.
That doesn't feel great, and that's just the start of it. That for a long time, there's like a little period of your life where you're like, am I still young or not? And then I don't know what it is, but then one day you're just like, you don't have that thought anymore. You're just like, how old am I?
No, Sam, we've talked before about our love of yard work and mowing the lawn. And I realized as I was mowing my lawn for the first time this year yesterday.
Man, I did too.
Look at us go. We are in this little bubble of time that I don't know how long it lasts. But we've crossed the threshold probably a few years ago into men who just love to do yard work because
Yeah.
we're in our mid to late 30s and we're like, this is the time where I'm going to mow my grass and then I'm going to stand at the window and admire my work.
Oh my gosh, my friend, that is my bathroom looks out into my backyard. So sometimes when I'm pooping, I'm just like, look at that, beautiful.
But Sam, I realized what the end of this bubble that we're in will be.
Okay. Oh
And it's
God,
the
what?
moment when you go, I think yard work makes me too sore, and I'm now going to pay somebody else to
Thank
mow this
you
grass
to it.
for me.
That sounds nice. Yeah, I suppose. Or I'm gonna move into a condo in Miami or something. Well, that's a great review. That's the
Yeah.
nicest thing I've honestly like the nicest thing anybody's ever said about something I made.
Well, while we're talking about our listeners, I just wanted to shout out our Discord because it's great.
It's really popping off lately, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great place where we get to hang out with our Patreon patrons. And yes, this is, a little subtle plug for that. But for that, just the $4 a month, you get to come hang out on our live streams, chat with us regularly in the Discord. And, most like the biggest thing, you're supporting this podcast. You help it exist. And occasionally, we drop in some promo codes so you can save some money on new merch that we launch.
Yeah. I love seeing the little alert thing that's like people are talking about our show, but people are talking about all the Muppet shows, and people are then talking about other stuff that has nothing to do with Muppets, and it's just an actual little community, and it's cool.
Yeah, and they've been extremely helpful in helping me find clips that I've had trouble tracking down to discuss on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just put out, the call on our newly found clips channel on Discord, and just a wave of links comes in. So thank you to our Discord
They're
community out there.
Matt's little army. That's what
My
that's
little
what I think.
birds.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, it's about that time in the podcast where every week I utter the immortal words. What do we watch this week?
First, we watched The Perfect Blue Rollie, air date February 7th, 1986. Boober and Wembley make a trip to the roaring ravine and find that the water level is really low, exposing much of the riverbed. And what a riverbed it is! The fast waters of Roaring Ravine have worn and smoothed all of the river rocks out into perfect round marbles, or rollies as the Fraggles call them. And as Boober and Wembley excitedly gather these marbles to share with their friends, they see something unbelievable. The perfect blue Rollie, a beautiful and legendary marble that is said to be the greatest gift you could ever give another Fraggle. Wembley picks it up and, though it is most beautiful indeed, he gifts it to Boober immediately. Boober is touched and accepts. They head back to the rock to pass out the rest of the marbles, and Wembley tells everybody about the blue Rollie that Boober has, but when Boober shows up, he does not have the blue Rollie. He eventually confesses that he's decided that the Rollie is so beautiful and precious that it needs to be kept in his secret cave for safekeeping. He initially won't tell his friends where the cave is, but they harass him into leading him there. And when they arrive, they find that Boober has collected all kinds of weird boobery stuff, like interesting socks and lint, and enshrined it in his hidey hole. So, basically, to make a long story short, Boober won't give them the Rollie. This is kind of the same thing happens 3-time episode in a way. They keep coming back with different approaches to try to get him to give them the blue Rollie, eventually stooping to sending Wembley in camouflage to just straight up steal the blue Rollie from the hidey hole. Boober catches him in the act, and in their confrontation, the marble falls and rolls into a crack in the wall. Boober tries to reach it, but he can't. Then he gets a stick and he starts chipping away at the wall. This causes a cave-in, trapping Boober in his hidey hole with all of his treasures. The other Fraggles dig him out, completely collapsing the hidey hole in the process and destroying all of Boober's stuff, but saving Boober. As they leave, they notice that the blue Rollie has rolled out of the destruction right in front of them. Boober picks it up and gives it to one of his friends, and all is well in Fraggle Rock. The moral? Giving is the greatest gift, and also don't value things over people. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is preparing a present for Miss Ardath's 39th birthday? How is she 39?
That's the most unexpected twist of any of these episodes,
I
was
think
finding out that
yeah.
we are almost as old as the
As an old lady?
well,
Who I
we've
thought
never
wasn't. I thought
Yeah.
she was an old lady.
Right. The show has never said that Miss Ardath was an old lady. We assumed because Jerry Parks plays Doc and is an older gentleman
Yeah.
that the woman he was courting was also older.
She's instead, maybe she's a sexy widower.
Why does she have to be a widower?
I don't know, because she opened an inn out in the remote middle of nowhere. Doesn't that just feel like widower behavior? It's like a Lifetime movie like Lady Needs a Fresh Start. It's a Lifetime movie, and the romantic male lead of the Lifetime movie is a Doc.
I'm in.
So what he's making her is, his plan is to make Miss Ardath a plaster cast of Sprocket. Except Sprocket, once hearing more about the plaster process, doesn't want to do it. So he tricks Doc into getting into the cast making machine, and he pours the plaster all over him, and Doc ends up making Miss Ardath a plaster cast of his own headless body, which I'm sure will really do the trick. Next, we watched A Brush with Jealousy. Original air date February 24th, 1986. Moki and Red are redecorating their cave when Moki notices that Red has taken down a painting that Moki did and replaced it with a painting by Pedley Fraggle, another renowned painter in the Rock. Red says that she loves Moki's painting. She just wants a little change to redecorating, and she suggests that Moki hang the painting that she took down in the Great Hall so that everybody can look at it and enjoy it. Moki does so, hanging her painting next to another painting that Pedley did that's also hanging in the hall. And as she leaves, she overhears Wembley, Gobo, and Pedley critiquing the work. Wembley and Gobo say that Pedley's is great, but then Wembley goes on to say that he likes Moki's, adding that it's the usual Moki painting, and if you've seen one Moki painting, you've seen them all. This hurts Moki's feelings, and she sulks off. What she doesn't hear, because she sulks off too fast, is that the other Fraggles disagree with Wembley, and Wembley reveals that he doesn't actually know the meaning of the phrase, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. He meant that her paintings were so good that if you see one painting of a thing that she paints, you never have to see another painting of that thing ever again. Right? Is that what he was saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Suddenly, Wembley has a problem with expressions in this episode.
Yeah. So he was actually saying like the nicest thing you could ever say about a painting. He was
So
just
a
saying
weird thing to say.
It's just weird. Yeah.
It's a weird compliment, but it is a compliment.
Yeah. But anyway, Moki's already, as I said, moped off, so she doesn't hear that. But instead, what she does is vow to paint an incredible painting just to teach everyone a lesson about how good of a painter she is. She goes up to the trash heap to pick some paintbrushes off of the paintbrush plant that apparently grows right next to the trash heap. And in doing so, she starts to tell the trash heap that she needs to paint a beautiful painting for certain reasons, and the trash heap offers her a magic brush to help her, one that she's free to use as long as it's not going to be used out of pride and jealousy. And Moki says, of course I wouldn't use it out of pride and jealousy. And then Moki goes off to the blossoming boulder to paint a masterpiece, which, with the magic brush, she does in like 2 or 3 strokes. She brings the painting to show off, and everybody kind of seems to think it's just fine, is what it seemed like, which isn't enough for Moki to satisfy her revenge. So she shows them her magic brush powers, wowing them all by making some instant paintings. However, as she continues to use the brush for these unseemly purposes, the more it starts to thrash around in her hand, compelling her to paint and not letting her put it down. She goes back up to the trash heap, who tells her that she gave the brush too much control over her creative process, and so it has taken control of her. The trash heap tells Moki that she has to paint herself out of this jam. Moki doesn't quite understand what this means until she realizes that the brush has been doing all the painting, not her. So she needs to think of a way to paint without using the brush and without using her hands, which are stuck to the brush. And she does. She uses her tail to paint a new painting, the old-fashioned way, as in not using a magical paintbrush. When she finishes, even though it's maybe not her most beautiful painting ever, she loved the process of painting it, even just for painting's sake. And once she declares this, the magic paintbrush falls from her hand. The moral: you won't find true joy doing the things you love to do in order to keep up with or outdo other people. You gotta just do it for yourself.
Also, AI art is bad.
How did they make an episode about AI art?
If Back to the Rock made this episode this season, I'd be like, a little on the nose, guys.
Right? Is that, well, like, we'll talk about it, but
Yeah.
what else could they be talking about? Are they talking about Photoshop or something?
I have some theories.
Okay, I'm excited to hear them because I just was like, couldn't think about what else.
It is
they
the
could have
perfect commentary on AI art,
mentioned. Yeah.
but obviously made 40 years ago.
Meanwhile, up in outer space, Sprocket wants to outdo Fluffinella in a game of fling and fetch, which they apparently call fetch in Canada. Maybe
I don't know, but I think he also said that in one of the episodes last time that we discussed.
he
And
said
I
it in
just
the previous, in the last episode, in the first episode we watched this week too.
oh, weird.
And finally, we watched Wembley's Flight, air date March 3rd, 1986. Wembley is jealous of all of his talented friends. They're all good at something: feats of strength, exploring, laundry. But Wembley kind of just feels like he's just Wembley. As he mopes around the caves, feeling sorry for himself about this, he finds a spider fly trapped in a plant. He frees it, and the spider fly transforms into a fairy godmother, or maybe an odd magical old man, or somewhere in between those things. This magical being grants Wembley one wish. Wembley wimbles about what this wish is, asking for a lot of dumb stuff like a sandwich or like a new shirt, until the spiderfly gets frustrated and tells them that what he really wants is to be able to fly. Wembley agrees and he thinks that's a good idea, and he wishes to fly. The spiderfly fairy grants the wish, and Wembley takes off into the air and then quickly crashes back to the ground, at which point the spiderfly tells him that he can only fly 3 times total, so 2 more times because that time counted. Wembley goes off to show his friends his new power. He meets them all at Red and Moki's apartment, and he tries to jump out of their window to show them that he can fly. They frantically stop him and tell them that they don't all actually believe he can fly, which makes Wembley really mad, and he storms off into the caves. He decides that he needs to find some people who will actually believe him so he can show off. So he gathers a real rogues gallery of the most craven freaks you could find in Fraggle Rock.
The
Feeny,
worst.
Feeny, Large Marvin, and Marlin, who all do believe he can fly, but they all want something from him, like Large Marvin wants a ride, or Marlin wants to tie an advertising banner to Wembley. Just then, Wembley's friends show up and tell him that he's being unreasonable and he can't fly. I'm not actually sure why they show up. Is that what it is? They're just like, hey, stop telling everybody you can fly.
I think maybe they're just passing by.
And they just see him in trouble with these freaks and decide they got to
Yeah.
do something about it.
They're like, Wembley's hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah. So his friends and these weirdo Fraggles, they fight over Wembley, and Wembley's all torn up inside and runs off again, where the fairy appears once more, and they decide together that Wembley doesn't actually want to show off in his heart of hearts. He just wants to fly around for himself, to see how it feels and for the fun and freedom of flight. The fairy tells him that that is a very good reason to want to fly indeed, so Wembley takes off on a flight in the middle of the night all by himself, and then peacefully returns home. The moral, maybe also that you have to do things for yourself and not out of jealousy or to outdo people. Is it the same exact moral as the last episode?
These did all feel a little like similar in the lessons that were being learned.
Yeah. There was some like weird through lines through all of them at the very least, like fling and fetch. But
Yeah.
also there were 3 episodes with the same elements remixed in 3 different ways.
Yeah, like overall, just sort of vaguely selfishness
Mm-hmm.
and doing things for the wrong reasons was kind of the overall vibe of these 3 episodes.
And all very Fraggle focused, with
Hmm.
almost no other creatures appearing. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Sprocket has built himself some wings so that he can show off and fly for Fluffinella. But Doc uses science to convince him that he will break something if he jumps off of the garage, so Sprocket doesn't jump off of the garage. So I forgot to do this last few episodes, but a few things have happened in the real world, mostly in space, because in the last couple episodes, Mir, the space station, Russian space station, has launched. Haley's comet is like a big deal right now. I think it's passing as close to Earth as it will in like another 100 years or something like that. But also, the Challenger space shuttle disaster happened, and then in the same amount of time, they found the debris from that in the ocean after it happened, which is pertinent, especially to the Muppets, because we talked about how Big Bird was thinking about being in there.
Yeah, they had asked Carol Spinney if he wanted to go to space aboard the Challenger, and things did not work out. I don't remember exactly why. But yeah, there was a chance at one point that Carol Spinney and a Big Bird costume would have been on the shuttle.
And of course, the loss of anyone's life on that is horrible. But that is just an interesting connection to Muppet history.
Well, elsewhere in the world of the Muppets around this time, we've got a couple entries from Jim's Red Book. And the first one is March 1986. Lisa made vice president at Warner's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Lisa Henson graduated from Harvard in 1983. She accepted a position at Warner Brothers assisting film executive Lucy Fisher, and she was able to advance quickly there, and in less than 3 years was made a vice president.
That's crazy.
Yeah, as an executive there, she worked on Lethal Weapon, Batman, and Batman Returns. So when you watch those movies, you will see Lisa Henson's name pop up in the opening credits.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then in 1993, Lisa will move over to Columbia Pictures, where she'll become the studio's youngest president. And under her leadership, they will produce Little Women, Men in Black, Fly Away Home, Sense and Sensibility, a bunch of movies.
What the hell? I didn't know this.
Yeah. And then she'll leave Columbia in 1996, and she'll run her own production company for a little while before becoming the CEO of the Jim Henson Company, where she still works currently.
What a career. That's amazing.
Yeah. Wild to go off, do all this really cool studio stuff, and then eventually sort of end up back home.
Yeah.
Which
That is
it's
interesting.
probably, I assume, a nice feeling.
Yeah. She's probably got quite a story.
Then on March 1st and 2nd, 1986, Jim writes, alone at Colombe d'Or in France, wrote Voyager proposal for IBM.
He's secluded in some kind of mansion.
It doesn't say why Jim was in France, why he was at this, I think it's a hotel is what Colombe d'Or is.
He's living that Wes Anderson lifestyle.
Well, so he was approached by the head of IBM Europe, who asked what sort of project Jim might like to do if, quote, money were no object.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, maybe he was in France to have a meeting with the guy from IBM Europe, or if he was in France for another reason. It's unclear. But Jim wrote up a memo titled Some Thoughts on an International Television Series. And said in this memo, television is one of the greatest connectors around. The world is an immense network of human relationships and peace, and the resolution of conflict can only come through greater awareness of our connections. I think it's possible to change the world by reinforcing our interconnectedness, the spirit of one family of man to the children of the world.
Well, that's Fraggle Rock, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
This, though, was going to be a pitch for a show called Muppet Voyager, a show featuring a group of aliens on Earth.
Okay.
So we're getting into Alf territory a little bit now.
I mean, and still kind of Fraggles.
Yeah. But the idea was that they wanted to take the perspective of the creatures looking at Earth from the outside, and then people around the globe would be instilled with the idea that there are more similarities than differences among the inhabitants of the varied places of the world. And so they were going to go all out. Again, this is if money was no object. And so each episode would feature the Muppet Voyagers visiting a different country and reporting back the customs and cultures to their home planet.
You know what this sounds like?
Huh.
A whole show of Uncle Traveling Mats.
Yeah. It
Yes.
does, in a way that I'm like, oh, it's kind of disappointing that if you gave Jim all the money in the world, this is what he wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the man who previously wanted to make giant video discos.
Oh, no, you're right. What if he had that would be a great, it all comes back around if he was like, I have just the thing. And he built, the orb or whatever it's called. And
The sphere in Vegas.
this guy would have loved the sphere.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well
That's how you'd know he loved it.
Wow. Well, each episode was going to be another sort of co-production with production companies around the world, like Fraggle Rock was. And yeah, I think this kind of just was one of those that slowly went away. They worked on it for a few years. You can see some concept art on Muppet Wiki, which kind of makes me glad we didn't ever see puppets of these guys, because the main leader is Commander Horseflash.
Ew. Okay.
And he's got quite the phallic nose on him.
Oh, why? What are they doing over? It's just a penis.
That's just pretty much a penis. But yeah, they're supposed to be like an intergalactic documentary film crew transmitting their findings back home at the end of each show. And so I think this is where the line is drawn between what Uncle Traveling Matt was doing and what the Voyagers were doing, because it says, while they could see a difference between a human and a car, for example, they could not distinguish between different nationalities or races.
Okay.
So I think this was going to quickly fall into a we don't see color
Yeah,
kind
this
of
sure.
uh, idea. And yeah, the idea was that, we're all in this together. And as noted by the creative team in their pitch to IBM, even the production process would have demonstrated that we, quote, can work together to create positive international programming.
I mean, I guess in broad strokes, I can see where he came from, but yeah, it's good we never saw this guy. They look like characters that would be in like an Epcot ride that didn't exist anymore.
Yeah, they got big Figment energy to them.
Yeah.
Oh. I just got a text from Devin mid-recording. She's clearly listening to our Q&A episode
Uh-oh.
and just all caps, ravioli does not count as a pasta shape.
I don't know if it does either. That's why I asked.
I think I was the one firmly on the side of that it did, but
Yeah, I'm really just right in the middle, but
so what is the shape of ravioli then? Because ravioli is a pasta.
this
It
is a
has a
good
shape.
question. There's just something about ravioli that it feels like cheating to say that's your favorite one because it's stuffed with meat. Of course, that's everybody's favorite one. It's
I don't
cheating.
know.
It's just like it's what is Barry Bonds? What was that whole it's like performance
Steroids?
enhancing. It's a performance enhancing substance to have meat inside of your pasta.
You're juicing your
You
pasta.
can't enter the pasta popularity contest if you're full of some kind of goo.
But then what is it?
That's
has
the
to be
question.
something.
That's the question. It's a sandwich.
Yeah, hot dog, not a sandwich. Ravioli, sandwich.
That's a sandwich.
I guess you're maybe combining two pieces of pasta, which makes not a shape. And I guess ravioli can be different shapes too, which maybe breaks this down.
I think I have to make the decision to remove ravioli from contention as a favorite pasta.
Wow.
Because if I had to just eat the ravioli blanket, I wouldn't like that.
Well, yeah, but that's true of everything. Like, you're not just going to eat elbow macaroni without anything on it.
Maybe that's the question you should be asking. What is the one you could eat by itself that is the funnest to eat, the most pleasant to eat, the easiest to eat? I don't know, whatever your metric is, but maybe part of that question needs to be alone with nothing else.
I don't think that any pasta is good in that form.
Have you ever had like a truly, well, yeah, you've been to Italy, right?
Yeah.
So you've had like a truly homemade classic pasta dish, huh?
Yeah. You also don't have to go to Italy for that.
No, well, but you've had it
You can get
straight
that
from
in Missoula.
You've had it straight from the source.
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was delicious.
Did you try any noodle pretty close to just by itself?
No, they were all coated in sauces and meats and stuff.
Sauces and meats.
But see, I should have asked while I was there.
Yeah.
Been like, hey, ravioli, what do you think?
Hindsight's 2020 though.
Maybe they laugh at ravioli. They're
Let's
like,
go back. This will be our bonus, or their new Patreon bonus will be
get
Matt
us to
and
Italy.
Matt and Sam Voyagers will travel the world.
If we don't hit our goal, we'll just go to a local Italian restaurant and ask them. Well, getting into our first episode this week, we've got The Perfect Blue Rollie from February 17th, 1986, written by David Young and directed by Eric Till. Sprocket wants to play fetch, but Doc isn't in the mood because it's Miss Ardath's 39th birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, you can't
And
just say stuff like that.
Just break my brain 2 seconds into an episode, Doc.
I rewound. I turned on subtitles.
Yeah, same.
I just had to be sure that he was saying what I thought he was saying.
Surely he said 59th.
Yeah.
69th maybe even.
Or just mumbled incoherently. But no, she's almost the same age as us.
Yeah, not that far ahead of us. And for reference, Jerry Parks at this point is 62 years old.
You know who I picture her looking like now that I know that? You ever watch the doctor from Star Trek: The Next Generation? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Dr. Crusher. More like have a doctor have a crush on her.
Ew. Well, yeah, and I understand that 39-year-old can fall in love with a 62-year-old.
Yeah,
I
that's
understand
fine.
this can happen. But now my brain immediately went to, especially if she's looking like Beverly Crusher.
Yeah.
This is maybe more of a one-way situation than
That
I
is
thought.
what I'm thinking too. And I don't like to think that, but this whole time I've been thinking of one of the Golden Girls, basically. She's retired.
Which one?
And Doc couldn't handle the horny
Blanche?
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Doc couldn't handle Blanche.
No.
and the tall one wouldn't give Doc the time of day.
Dorothy, B. Arthur.
Yeah, B.
I think
Arthur.
B. Arthur I could see in the role of Miss Ardath,
Yeah,
but is definitely, you know, a little cranky at first, but could be won over by the charming side of Doc.
that's true, and maybe and maybe like there's an episode where they like have a sweet dance together, and that's the
Oh,
one
yeah,
where,
yeah,
like,
yeah. So what we're saying is Rose is
Yeah.
the golden girl that
But
Doc would have the best shot with.
because she is kind of daffy, and he would get frustrated with her a little bit, but he'd also like they're both kind of crazy, so they'd be like scheming up weird things they could do. But I think the most complicated, satisfying relationship would be with B. Arthur's character.
Yes, I agree.
They wouldn't be the main characters of the show where it's Rose and Doc. They would be where it's B. Arthur and Doc.
Yeah. No, I think Dorothy and Doc would be much more interesting long term.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, if I looked it up to verify that we're not talking about something that actually happened. Jerry Parks is never on Golden Girls.
Okay.
Well, Golden Girls has a lot of random cameos from people
Yes,
throughout the years.
that's-
Jerry Parks
that's
was
right.
not one of them.
Okay.
But I could see Jerry Parks getting a 1-episode arc on Golden Girls where he
Yeah.
dates Rose. They're goofy. They have a good time. Realize maybe they're too much alike. They can't
Yeah.
date.
And
If he's
at
going
the-
after Dorothy, though,
yeah.
that's like half a season.
But anyway, I think now I'm picturing Beverly Crusher. I think because mostly Beverly has a couple episodes, so she's a sexy widower. That's probably why. That's probably why in my head I think widowers are sexy. She's a sexy widower, and she has several episodes where she will like fall in love with a ghost or go to like a she has a lot of romance novel plots.
Interesting. Did she ever fall in love with Picard?
Her and Picard have such a complicated question, man.
Oh, okay.
Picard was her husband's best friend.
Ah.
And when her husband died in the horrible shuttle accident, Picard kind of was there for her as a shoulder to cry on, maybe more. There's definitely a romance between the two, but I think Picard is kind of doesn't want to, neither of them want to push it and past the friendship and like ruin what they have, and also out of faith to her dead husband. And
All
Picard's, Picard's got a lot of ladies also.
So he's not he's not the Doc of Next Generation is what you're telling me.
No. He is not falling over himself to try to impress Beverly. They have a very they're almost rivals in a way, because when he has dinner with a woman, she'll like always just happen to like walk into his little room, and she'll be like, I see you have company already. That happens 100% of the time. And then he's like, yes. And then when she falls in love with a ghost, he's like, well, just have fun with your ghost.
I see you don't have company.
I don't see that you have company. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a good show.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock, it's another perfect day, according to Wembley. But Boober has his doubts because he says it feels like he's going to be searching his entire life for something that's missing, even though he doesn't know what it is.
Ouch.
Wembley is astounded by that moment of relatable dread, by the way. He's like, whoa, I didn't know anyone could feel so bad about their life. And Wembley says, something is missing. It's the sound of falling water from roaring ravine, where the waterfall is down to a trickle.
And that seems like it's good. And they're like, there's a heat wave. And that seems like it will be the point of the episode, though it is not.
It did
kind of
feel
resolves
like it
itself.
was going to be a problem.
At the right after the end of this episode, they mention where they found the marbles, and all the Fraggles go, "Dear God, what about our water?"
Yeah, where is all the water that's supposed to be there? But instead, we've got the smoothies and the rollies, which are just really round, smooth pebbles.
This is a very satisfying episode to look at, in my opinion. I love all those smooth rocks.
I love a nice smooth rock. When you're
Yeah.
at the lake or the river and you find a rock that you're like, I feel like I have to take this home for some reason.
And I love the concept of picking out the perfect rock for all of your friends, too. It's beautiful.
Ooh. Yeah, I could look at a rock and be like, that's a Sam rock.
That's a Sam rock for sure. But yeah, giving Red a rock that perfectly matches her shirt. Fantastic.
Well, Wembley finds the perfect blue rollie, which is, quote, the rarest pebble in the universe. Legendary, even, because the legend says that the perfect blue rollie is the best gift you can possibly give someone. And Boober clearly wants this ball.
He's coveting it very Gollum-y.
He's got some big Gollum energy going on in this episode. But Wembley obviously is a great friend. We've seen this before. He is just the best Fraggle, I think, personality-wise.
He gets the whole goal of being a Fraggle for sure.
Yeah. He hasn't been tainted
Yeah.
by the outside world yet. He understands that, like, I think we're supposed to just have fun and like
And be
each
really,
other.
really
And
nice to each other. Yeah.
yeah, so he's great and decides to gift it to Boober because obviously that's the point, is to gift these things. And instantly, I'm worried about Boober at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But this leads to the song Pass It On, which will also appear in A Muppet Family Christmas, which we'll talk about later this year, Sam.
It does?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's the entire scene the Fraggles are in.
Oh, yeah. I think every time I've watched that before, I'd never watched Fraggle Rock. So that is the
Mm.
part of the special where I kind of like zoned out a little bit or was like baking cookies or more intensely for a while or something.
Yeah, they gift a pebble to Robin
Okay.
and sing about the joy of gifting pebbles to each other and
Mm.
sing Pass It On.
Okay, that's nice.
And this song also just showed up in one of the new episodes of Back to the Rock this season.
Oh,
So
cool. It's a
it's
good song.
it's a great song, and
Yeah.
especially Wembley's little is
Yeah.
is just like, for days after hearing the Back to the Rock version, after you're watching this version, and anytime I watch Muppet Family Christmas, that little pass it on is just playing in my head on repeat.
He does it in the is it the same recording in Muppet Family Christmas?
No, I
Or-
think it's different, which I actually think the version in Muppet Family Christmas is a bit shorter, and I think
Oh, yeah.
honestly a bit better.
This is like kind of a big epic song.
Yeah, which I think overstays its welcome a little bit by the end. That might be controversial to say about Pass It On. I think it's a very popular Fraggle song, but I think by the time you're joining in the choir of background Fraggles, I'm like, all right, I get it.
That's true. They do go kind of crazy with it.
But this is when everyone is swapping their pebbles and Boober shows up, refusing to show everyone his perfect blue Rollie, which he says he put in a safe, dry storage place and won't even show to his friends. He says it's in his hidey hole, which is his secret hiding place that he's never told anyone about.
Yeah, and everybody who's weird and collects stuff has one of these places they don't want people to see.
Yeah, this goes a bit further
I suppose
than
so.
that.
Yeah.
Because Boober converted a dead-end tunnel into his own private cave. And at this point, I'm like, this is great. I love learning this about Boober, that not only does he have a weird little hidey hole, but he also has been spending, months or years
Yeah.
digging out a whole tunnel that's just his.
Yeah. And he's kind of ashamed of it.
Well, because we learn very quickly Boober is a actual hoarder.
Yeah.
He collects balls of string, buttons, old socks. He has a giant ball of laundry lint. And the way Boober is talking about these and the way the Fraggles are reacting, I think is maybe one of the first times I've ever felt genuinely concerned about a Muppet.
Yeah. I can see that. I didn't take it as much of hoarding in the like the classical sense of it. I did kind of, it did read to me as just being like extremely like greedy and covetous of stuff, like just liking to collect
interesting.
stuff.
I saw
That
it as a
was
bit more like legitimately obsessive compulsive
okay.
in that like
is also
hoarder
interesting.
kind of way, because I think
Mhm.
he says something about like he might need those buttons someday.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that.
And I think this is sort of
I think you
like,
kind of can split the difference a little bit, probably.
yeah. I think they obviously, for lack of a better phrase, don't put too much of a button on it, and don't say, "Hey, Boober is a hoarder. Boober has OCD. Boober is this."
Yeah.
So I think it leaves it open to interpretation. But I do feel like this is one of the most realistic depictions of like Boober's mental health struggles that we've seen.
Yeah.
And so I think it hit me a little harder than just his general depression or anxiety that he exhibits, because usually it's sort of a quick joke. He's the doom and gloom Eeyore of the group.
Non-specific.
Yeah.
This is very specific.
Very specific. And just to see all the other Fraggles looking at each other silently, like,
haha, cool, Boober.
yeah. Like they don't immediately jump to accusations. They're not trying to push back on it. They are just quiet and concerned. And speaking of concerned, we have Doc, who's going to use plaster of Paris to make a cast of Sprocket by putting him in a box and just
I love this
pouring
part.
plaster all over him. I was pretty sure Sprocket was going to be stuck in there forever. R.I.P. Sprocket.
So a Sprocket.
So Sprocket snaps into action, and as Doc is showing him how it's simple, you just get in the box. You sit here, and then you latch it, and you pull the lever.
He pulls a
Sprocket's
kind
like,
of Bugs Bunny trick on Doc.
he locks
Gets
Doc
him
in the
there, yeah.
box and pours plaster of Paris on Doc while Doc screams out to be let free.
Is plaster of Paris one of the ones that gets really hot?
Oh, that I don't
That's what I
know.
was worried about. If Sprocket doesn't know all the steps to the process.
Yeah, the fact that Sprocket doesn't know anything about this
Yeah.
did worry me. But somehow it all works out. in
It
the
all
end.
turns out fine. I mean, it all turns out nightmarish, but fine.
Yeah. But the fact that like that's a really good casting of Doc, and somehow he got out of it without damaging the plaster
great
at
point.
all. Because especially that's not how plaster works. Like you don't pour plaster over someone
yeah.
and then get a statue of them. You would get a mold of them that you would
Right.
then have to pour something else into
Yeah.
to make the statue.
So they did that off screen.
Yeah, presumably. Or they're just hoping the audience doesn't know about how
It's a bunch of
making
kids.
molds works.
Hey, wait a minute. But this has some great Sprocket acting where he's like pulling faces and being like,
He's looking right at us, raising his eyebrows like, should I do it, folks?
yeah.
But again, a little bit of genuine concern there as Doc is locked in a box while his dog pours plaster of Paris all over his body.
Yeah. I mean, it should be a death sentence, basically.
We've seen him get stuck in much simpler situations before.
Yeah.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Boober has made a nice sparkly pillow for his perfect blue Rollie, and he's waxing it while staring at his reflection when Gobo and Wembley walk up behind and startle him.
Yeah, and this is when the episode kind of starts to fall into the same thing happens 3 times in a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I think we have a worse offender later on in this batch of that. But for this one, I would say I do like that Gobo and Wembley are immediately concerned and trying to help. It was interesting how Uncle Traveling Matt plays into the plots throughout these episodes because he is back in the rock, and he's just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
But Gobo mentions that apparently Uncle Traveling Matt had the idea to throw a celebratory banquet for the Rollie because it's such a big deal that someone found this Rollie.
This seems like too clever of a plot for Matt to think up, though.
Yeah, the lights go out, the Rollie disappears, and Matt is never seen again.
Oh, yeah.
He takes off to Australia.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
I thought, yeah. But Boober's too worried about the mob scene, saying it's a security issue.
That's right. I like that part. So this episode spoke to me in certain ways because we have the county fair here has a whole. This is such a weird tangent. They have a whole collections pavilion basically where it's like you can enter whatever you want that you collect, and there's several things I collect that I would probably win blue ribbons for, but would never ever bring to the fair because
you'd
it's
leave
a
in a
security
barn
issue.
for a week.
I'm not leaving my stuff where drunk people at the fair can look at my Legos. Are you kidding me? They don't even put them in cases. It's a security issue. He's
very
right.
much a security issue.
If you had the perfect blue Rollie at the Western Montana Fair, that thing would be gone.
I did want a perfect blue Rollie, which I know
did
is not
too.
the lesson you're supposed to take away from this episode, but
I wanted to put those rocks in my mouth bad.
That's definitely not the lesson to take away from this episode.
They'd be really worried about me. I'm just eating all the rocks.
Especially that one's like jawbreaker sized.
Yeah.
Well, we do get what I didn't expect. An Uncle Traveling Matt postcard-ish.
Yeah, he's just doing the same shit he always did. He's just there.
I thought
now.
we were done with this guy's stories.
I thought that's why we brought him home.
Right? This is not better. This is him just being like, oh, I have a story that's related to what you just said.
I would actually push back and say that it is to me a little bit better because at least now he has to be the one. There's an episode later where they're talking and he's just sitting in Gobo's house and he hears them say something and he says, that happened to me once. And then they're like, what did you say? And then he's like, okay, let me tell you. I think now that he has to justify his own horrible segues, it's better than making Gobo be like, this reminds me of a postcard.
Mm,
It takes the onus off of Gobo to be an apologist for his uncle, and instead makes his uncle just like the doddering old fool who's like, I want to hang out too.
that's fair. I think maybe I'm hoping that there will be moments where he goes to do that and everyone's like, not now.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to tell his story.
I mean, and now Red is insulting him to his face, which makes me a little sad. But then he's it is not better because they are still very often completely divorced from what the episode is about, especially the one where he's in the video store.
Oh, see, I feel like they're getting better about tying it to the episodes in these episodes.
The one where he's in the video store and he's like, I helped you, Moki. I helped you find the cave. Some Fraggles would never help you. That's pretty sweaty, right?
Yes. The connection he has to make there
Yeah.
is a little bit like he talks through what just happened and lands in a place where where he clearly had a story in mind before they even went for the hike.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, well, I gotta figure out how to work that in somehow.
Yeah. This story though is perfect. Suspiciously perfect.
Yeah, he found a perfect white Rollie at some point in his adventures, which was a golf ball. And he's watching the worst golfer in the world, who just keeps hitting the balls into the water.
Yeah. Oh, what this guy's doing?
Yeah, so Matt thinks that the point of golf is to put all the white Rollies in the pond. And so he takes all of the guy's golf balls and throws them in the pond, after which the guy immediately picks up Matt and throws him in the pond.
I bet that was so fun to do. I would love to throw a Muppet in a pond.
That feels like you got one shot, too. Like, we only got one Matt. Once we get him wet, we can't dry him off for like 12 hours.
Yeah, we'll have to come back tomorrow.
But we see creepily Matt's hand rise up out of the water, Jason Voorhees style, holding a golf ball. But then Gobo has an idea to pull off a heist. He's camouflaged Wembley in a blanket that looks like a ball of lint. Where's that lint coming from?
It's cave cotton.
I meant like Boober's ball of laundry lint.
Oh, he's just you know what, Matt? I'm just realizing I do the same exact thing. I have a big ball of laundry lint because I save all of the lint that comes out of our lint trap because I really want to build a puppet that is a ball of lint. Like I want his skin to be lint, like he's a little laundry creature. And I've wanted to do this for years, and I'm finally getting to the point where I'm having enough lint to do it. But I guess I have a dryer down there, and maybe he's just collecting it out of the lint trap, or just out of the pockets while he is washing.
I was gonna say feel like I have many more questions than I had 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
About how big your ball of laundry lint is.
It's really not that big.
Okay. But my other thought is, yeah, they don't have a dryer. He dries all of his clothes.
I feel like they've talked about using some kind of hot beetle before to dry clothes, maybe, but I don't remember. Yeah, he does.
Feel like they're not generating lint.
He's always got laundry up on a line. You're right. Yeah, you're right. He's got a huge collection too. So I don't know. He's been at it for thousands of years, I guess.
Maybe Doc's dryer vent goes through the walls of Fraggle Rock.
That would rule.
Spitting out.
It would smell so nice down there too.
Well, Gobo checks in with Wembley and says, "You know the plan." And he says, "Yeah." I get inside and I start to mingle with Boober's lint.
I can't believe they're stealing the Rollie. That seems kind of like out of character for them in a way.
Yeah, convincing Boober to gift the Rollie makes total sense that they would want him to do that. That not working and them deciding, well, we'll just steal it.
Why did they want the Rollie so bad?
Well, their goal, I think they say, is that once Boober sees how much everyone enjoys the blue Rollie, he'll understand the importance of sharing it.
That won't work.
I don't think it'll work.
That'll just drive him away.
And I will say Wembley's camouflage does look really good because when they first walk up, you don't realize Wembley is already standing there against the wall.
Yeah, his ghillie suit is pretty cool.
So Wembley sneaks in and sneezes immediately, waking up a sleeping Boober. And then he sneezes again and knocks the blue Rollie off of the pedestal and into a crack that they can't reach through. Boober grabs a stick to pry it out, and while the rock crumbles around him, he yells at Wembley to leave him alone. And like we've seen before, a cave-in happens. Because Fraggle Rock is not geologically stable.
No. But these cave-ins get less and less fraught every time they happen.
You think so?
I think this one is like the one where Red's stuck in the cave and suffocating, or whoever
Mhm.
it is.
It's Red and Boober in that one.
That's the gold standard of being stuck in a cave in. This one is kind of silly. You
Oh,
know?
I could
You
not
didn't think
disagree
so?
more.
Okay.
I think with this one, one, it all happens so quickly that I think it's, to me, felt more perilous
Mm-hmm.
because there is a real urgency to the way that the Fraggles are trying to dig him out after the cave in happened. There is no
Okay.
like, hey everyone, let's stop, let's plan. How are we gonna get them out? Which I think is a works really well in the other
Oh,
episode.
this is more like all right. He probably got smooshed,
Well,
so we
because
better
we
hurry up.
see the cave, like
Yeah,
the problem in the previous one was that they were running out of air. They were
and
going to
they know that
suffocate.
they can hear them through the wall, but they
Right.
don't know that Boober's not smooshed.
And we see Boober getting almost more and more smooshed as
That's right.
the rock encroaches in on him from
Yeah.
the top. And so this one to me felt like I had the same emotional reaction as the previous one, but just in a
Oh,
shorter period of time.
okay. I guess I was just didn't feel bad for Boober. Maybe that's part of it. And I knew he was going to be fine.
Well, yeah, obviously we're not going to watch the death of Boober.
Well, it's the last
Um,
season, basically. So
yeah, Sujit did say that they all got to write their own endings for their
they
their arcs.
all the writers killed one Fraggle at the end of their episode.
But they do dig very quickly and rescue Boober, and he leaves behind the perfect blue Rollie,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been extremely poetic had he lost forever his legendary ball. But then it just kind of pops out of the cave.
Yeah, I wonder why they decided to do that. Not because I guess they're punishing all the Fraggles by getting rid of the blue Rolly, and
Well, yeah,
he needs to prove he learned his lesson, I suppose.
yeah, maybe the lesson is too subtle. If he is like just learning it by leaving behind the blue Rollie, like
Right.
he's given this choice between like living or dying for his
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 stuff.
precious. But they really wanted to, I think, seal the deal and say not only did he learn his lesson there, but he also is now willing to share his
Yeah.
perfect blue
We
Rollie
got to
because of
rub
what he
his nose in
learned.
it a little bit more.
But yeah, Boober does start to share his perfect blue Rollie with all of his friends, and he seems to genuinely feel good about it
Yep.
and says, I have had it with stuff. And then Wembley says, you're not even going to save laundry lint? And Boober says, well, let's not get carried away.
What's the harm in a little laundry lint?
Where do you keep it?
It's just jammed up in the utility closet or like a utility shelf by my dryer.
Does Rachel know it's there?
Yeah, it's in the full view for all to see.
Okay.
I've told her why I'm keeping it too.
All right. I didn't know if this was your own little hidey hole that
My
you're
whole
hiding your
basement's my
shame.
hidey hole. Are you kidding me? I don't let people down here.
Well, then we get to see Doc's perfect statue of a headless version of himself,
Yep.
which he puts a little racist phrenology head on top of.
Horrible. Yeah. Which is scary and horrible.
Yeah, phrenology on its own horrible, but
Yeah.
also horrible the scale of this phrenology head on
Too
Doc's body.
small.
It looks like
Yeah.
Beetlejuice at the end of Beetlejuice when he gets his head shrunk.
Yeah. You know what would have been cute if he had been like, oh well, Sprocket, you saw that it wasn't scary, so we did one of your head, and then it was Sprocket's head on Doc's body. That might be
That'd be
cool.
so good.
Yeah. And not a little phrenology head. And then he wheels it over to Miss Ardath and says, what do you think, babe?
He says he's going to give it to her so she can put it on the lawn right outside her window so she can see it while she, quote, lifts weights.
Yeah, why does she say that too?
Now, I'm imagining Miss Ardath as a 39-year-old bodybuilder.
Yeah. Beverly Crusher works out a lot. So I think this still tracks. Yeah.
Well, what would you rate this episode, Sam?
I gave this one 2.5 stars.
Wow.
I feel like I should have enjoyed this episode more, but there was something about it that just wasn't clicking for me, and I don't know what it was.
In my head, that's a perfect episode.
You think so? Perfect episode?
I think so. I love it. It made me feel things, Sam.
That's true. You felt more in it than I did.
Well, next up, we have February 24th, 1986, A Brush with Jealousy, written by P.B. Nickel and directed by Terry Maskell. Our first Lanford episode of season 4 in this episode that is condemning AI art.
He's just kind of there.
He's the model.
But I love when he's there.
Oh, man. Lanford and Back to the Rock season 2.
He's got
fantastic
stuff to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a whole episode called When Moki Met Lanford.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So we learned that Fluffinella beat Sprocket at fetch 27 times.
No, Matt. Fling and fetch.
Fling and fetch.
Did they call it fling and fetch in the 80s? Are we going to discover that fetch is a shortening of fling and fetch?
Yeah, in the 90s, they were like, ugh, we don't have time for that.
Yeah, we got to go drink our frappuccinos.
I mean, immediately searching fling and fetch, I get no results.
No,
aside
toys
from those,
called the fling and fetch.
Yeah, those weird scoopy ball thrower things. But I'm not seeing like anyone saying, yes, I play fling and fetch with my dog.
It even has a Wikipedia page that makes no mention of anything of fling.
So Doc comforts Sprocket and then says, well, what are you going to do? Go into training? And Sprocket goes, oh, if that's an option, then yes, absolutely.
I feel like this was a strong batch of Doc and Sprocket.
Well, yeah, because immediately Doc is on Sprocket's side and said he'll help him create the complete canine course in fling and fetch fitness.
He doesn't quite approve, but if that's what Sprocket wants to do, then that's what he'll do. Because Doc's a very bored man, and he needs to build a dog treadmill right now.
And the dog treadmill is more than what I thought he was going to do. When you say like make a canine course in fitness, I was like, oh, he's going to like have him jumping over things, or we're going to
have a clipboard, and he'll say, run 10 laps or whatever.
Right, make Sprocket do push-ups or something.
Yeah.
Well, Wembley is helping Moki bring some flowers into her cave as Red and Moki are wanting to redecorate a little bit. This is when Red hangs up a picture of her fighting a dragon. That looks real cool.
It's cool.
We do learn that that's sort of Pedley's whole thing, is just painting people fighting other things.
Yeah. I did like this. So this episode is about Moki being jealous of Pedley. And I liked that they pretty convincingly showed that Moki is actually a better painter than
right.
Pedley.
Well, and like Pedley also says that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh man, I wish I could paint like her.
Yeah, that was like an interesting wrinkle to the episode where she actually was the superior painter.
She doesn't actually need the magic brush at all.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't have to accept that like, I'll always be a mediocre painter. I like that they mentioned that Pedley goes on painting trips.
It's funny that he comes back with paintings of people fighting. He's just like, I miss my friends.
Like, did he go out and see a dragon and then was like, oh, I need to paint that dragon?
Red would love to fight this guy. Yeah, who knows? It's like, oh, he went off to paint landscapes and then he comes back with like a comic strip. Huh?
Hey, I went on vacation. I painted you fighting a dragon. Here you go. I feel like Pedley's going to own a lot of swords or something.
Yeah.
Maybe Pedley's that guy.
I think you're right. Yeah, Pedley's on DeviantArt.
Red suggests hanging the painting of Lanford out where everyone else can enjoy it. And so Moki goes to do that, hangs it up next to Pedley's, which this one looks like Wembley, maybe fighting a rock monster. They don't ever clarify, but it does look the most like Wembley of any of the Fraggles.
Pedley's a big fan of the show Fraggle Rock. He's making fan art of all those guys.
He just wishes there was more violence on the show.
Yeah, he wants the gritty reboot of Fraggle Rock. It's also interesting because in any other show, I feel like Red would be being polite and saying, let's hang your painting outside.
Right.
But she really is just like, I just want a different painting in here for a while. This one's great.
Yeah. I thought at the beginning of this that the drama was going to be that Red didn't actually like Moki's painting, but that's not at all the case.
It's never questioned that Moki is the most talented Fraggle.
But she gets distracted because there's a curious looking doozer building over there, which I thought was going to be a plot point.
By the end of the episode, I was still confused about it.
Yeah, I guess because it looks a little bit like a crane. Like there's like a big arm sticking up off of it.
Like they're up to something.
Yeah, and so I thought for sure that was going to be important, but instead Moki just eats it and gets distracted so that the other Fraggles can gather and start talking about her painting.
Mm-hmm.
So she sneaks up behind Gobo, Wembley, Boober, and Pedley, who are admiring the paintings. And then they say that Moki's is typical Moki. And this is the moment when Wembley says, once you've seen one of Moki's, you've seen them all. And Moki runs away just before Pedley jumps in to say, wait a minute. What'd you just say?
What the fuck are you talking about? I have a friend who's an extremely good painter, and I feel like I would also say, That's typical Lucas. And not in a mean way, but just being like, I wish you were dead because you paint so good.
I was wondering what feelings you were going to have about this episode in regards to the artistic jealousy angle.
I'm definitely in the Pedley camp where I'm less good, but I love looking at a good painting. But then if I had that paintbrush, I would be like, I have a cursed paintbrush. It helps me paint really good. Amazing. I'll show you.
I think you have access to that paintbrush these days, Sam, with Midjourney and DALL-E.
I don't. You can't do that.
Well, we learned that Pedley is actually the one who is jealous of Moki, saying, if only I could paint the way she does.
Right. Pedley, yeah, I get it, man.
But Moki's already crying in her
I
cave.
wish she was dead.
But Moki's already crying in her cave because her painting was called Typical.
Yeah.
And she's starting to get a little upset. Thankfully, Lanford is there, suggests, hey, how about you just try making a new painting? Really wow your friends. And she's like, you're right. I must paint the best painting the Rock has ever seen. A painting that will really curl their belubiuses.
We haven't seen Moki come unhinged in a long time. I love when
Yeah,
Moki
she hasn't
comes
fallen in
unhinged,
love with a
though.
recreation of herself for quite a
No.
while. And then we get a jump scare trash heap song.
Yeah, just like it's like we joined the song already in progress.
And it doesn't matter at all.
No.
And gotta say, one of Jerry Nelson's worst performances.
I was noticing too that he was like sounding weird, but I
He
can't
sounds
quite
like
quantify
Jerry
it.
Nelson.
Yeah. Or he
And-
sounds a little bit like Floyd sometimes or something.
I think he just I think maybe singing as the trash heap isn't Jerry Nelson's strong suit. And so when he's singing as the trash heap, he just sounds a lot more like himself
yeah.
than like his potentially offensive Marjorie the Trash Heap accent.
Yeah, that's true.
But it feels like an introduction song for the heap because it doesn't really have anything to do with the plot. And is just her singing about, trash is pretty cool.
And they keep talking about the swap meet that's going to happen, but that doesn't.
Again, something
like-
else that does not come back up.
Every scene is just like, don't forget the swap meet.
Yeah, when Mookie shows up, she's like, you're early for the swap meet and garbage gala tomorrow.
Maybe she's sick of being surrounded by trash, and she's just trying to reverse psychology everybody and to come in and get all the trash.
What would happen if people just started taking pieces off of her, though?
Be like Oogie Boogie Man, where she's just like one little apple core at the middle,
Just
and that's
full
her.
of bugs.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of Philos and Gunges.
Oh, gross.
All their siblings
just
are
their
underneath
little
there.
eggs are in there. Yeah.
But yeah, we don't really...
yeah, she's an undulating pile of rat creatures. You're right. That's got to be the answer. That's why that one pops up wherever they go, because they're like spawning children. They're asexually reproducing.
I hate this.
Or sexually reproducing.
Yeah. We don't know what kind of, reproductive stuff's going on with Philo and Gunge.
Rat creatures, yeah.
But this song means nothing. It doesn't matter at all. The swap meet, the garbage gala, none of that means anything. We really just are passing by is what's happening.
We just needed Mookie to get up there, yeah.
She just needs to get her brushes from a brush plant. Then Marjorie asks Philo and Gunge, hey, how about you give Moki the magic paintbrush? And they're like, I don't think we should do that, Marjorie. Because Philo says it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Which was concerning immediately that this guy is saying something is dangerous.
Yeah.
And then Marjorie says, well, it's only dangerous if you use it for the wrong reasons. And then they hand her the most regular ass looking paintbrush you've ever seen in your life.
It's like a house painting brush. You would not paint. If someone handed you this to paint a painting with, you would say, thanks. And then you'd walk away and throw it in the garbage.
I was expecting, at least some glitter or a big weird Seussian paintbrush or something.
Yeah.
When you're like, it's a magic paintbrush. And this is one they just had sitting offside of the set. And they're like, yeah, that'll do.
And then when you see it, you're like, well, it's not really magic and this is going to teach her some kind of lesson. But it is indeed cursed.
Yeah, it's alive, essentially. But we learn as Moki walks away that jealousy and pride are the wrong reasons that Marjorie was talking about. And that's the exact reasons Moki wanted it.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, Doc invented a machine that's a treadmill that generates electricity, but leaves and tells Sprocket, hey, take it easy on the treadmill. I gotta go buy a new regulator.
This is a great little little setup they've made here with his legs on the bottom, and very convincing.
Yeah, it's a delightful camera trick where which at first I was like, why did Doc make a treadmill that also generates electricity? Because
Yeah.
really the whole point of this was to just help Sprocket train. He didn't need to make it also productive.
They had to put a
Uh,
bunch of crap in front of Sprocket, though.
yeah, they had to put a big old box on the side that hides the seam because we see the top of Sprocket's body running on the treadmill above the box, and we see his legs running on the treadmill below the box. It's a delightful little camera trick that, again, one of those things where watching Fraggle Rock, you don't think about it at first unless you're doing
Yeah.
a podcast about it.
Yeah.
Well, Uncle Traveling Matt is taking Moki out to Blossom Boulder and says recently I met some stuck-up jealous Fraggles. I again really didn't think we were going to be getting more postcards from him. But this is him in a department store where he sees a wall of devastatingly handsome Fraggles, which is really a relic of the era where it's a wall of old tube TVs hooked up to a camcorder. And this is a thing that existed in Circuit Cities and the lot back in the day,
Yeah.
where you could see yourself on all the TVs if you just walked up to this camcorder.
Yeah. Back when people were buying camcorders
And tube TVs.
and tube TVs. Yeah.
But I feel like this is a thing that was for a while, like 80s and 90s, in a lot of movies and TV shows.
I can't think of any, but I know
It
you're
happens
right.
on The Simpsons, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
At one point where Bart's like mooning the camcorder or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Moki takes the wrong lesson away from this and says, well, when you're good at something, everyone just gets jealous of you.
She's right.
So she dips her brush, but no paint shows up on it. And she goes to paint, and it magically works. Even though we don't get to see at first what she has painted, because she gets too excited and runs away with her painting to go show her friends.
Yeah, but she just kind of goes stroke, 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 and then the painting is painted.
Yeah.
She's right because Pedley's jealous of her. He says it earlier. So he's maybe the one who needs to learn a lesson.
Yes, but I don't think his jealousy turns into a negative.
He didn't have to go out and find a cursed artifact to
Correct.
cure it. That's true.
He has a healthy jealousy.
That's right.
Hers is an extremely unhealthy jealousy.
Yeah.
That
She must crush all of her enemies completely to dust. Nobody can have anything nice said about them except her.
Yes, and thinking that the only reason people are mad about her paintings is because they are jealous.
Yeah. Oh, that too. That too.
So she runs back. Everyone's kind of nice but weird about her painting, I guess.
Yeah, what was that all about?
I guess she is maybe building up this hype of like, look what I have created. Bow to me. And they're like, yeah, it looks like all your other paintings. It's great.
Right.
But they don't necessarily say the it's great part. They say, it's like all your other paintings.
Uh-huh.
Which she will not stand for.
There's an interesting line in this part where she says, you should have been there when I painted it. And then Pedley says, but we weren't. Which is like, that's like either a weird throwaway line or it's like some kind of high level art creation, death of the artist, like commentary. I'm not sure which one it's supposed to be.
It also, it confused me as well. I wasn't sure what to take from that. But I did feel like it was trying to be something.
Yes. It's like this episode is so... It's like the process isn't as important as the finished product or something like that. Or like, I don't know. There's something where it's like undermining the process of creating art, which is like a whole branch of art. Is just like, I painted this big canvas of blue because I think this color of blue is cool. And also my brushwork is interesting. And there's maybe not necessarily like an idea to the finished product besides the process of creating this was beautiful object was the point of making it, which feels like they are discounting in this episode to me, but I don't know.
I feel like it is about not only the process, but the thought and just the idea of why are you making art?
Yeah.
Because at one point, Moki says, I just forgot everything I ever loved about painting.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's more so about like, well, why did you paint in the first place? You painted because you liked painting.
Yeah.
And now you're looking for the quick fix just so you can have the best painting and show off to people.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason you started painting is because you liked making paintings.
So you said you had theories about what that quick fix would have been referring to.
I am wondering if this is a dig at 3D art.
Oh.
Art that was created on a computer.
Uh-huh.
specifically because a lot of, early 3D art was putting code into computers to make the shape of a teapot.
You know what happened this very month that we're talking about this also? Pixar
Hmm.
was founded
Look at
officially.
that.
Yeah.
And we had seen some of the precursor to Pixar work on Muppet Babies not that
Right.
long ago.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if this is a bit of like, oh, you computer artists aren't real artists.
Yeah. It was, I guess, something people were thinking about. That makes sense.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mostly because, again, the way you made 3D art back then on computers is very different from the way you do it now, where
Yeah.
like you go in and you can, like, nowadays you can go in with like a brush tool and you'll sculpt something in your computer. Back then it was more formulaic and
Mm-hmm.
still art, just a different
Mm-hmm.
kind of art. But I'm guessing some people took issue with the way that stuff
Well,
was done versus 2D traditional hand drawn animation.
and this is talking out of my ass slightly, but also kind of not dissimilar from puppetry in certain ways, because you are manipulating a form that you created with 3D art. So maybe they're like, we're building these puppets by hand. You're building a 3D thingy in a computer and making that do stuff. That is not craftsmanship. That I bet you're right.
Yeah, I bet there's like I don't know why I'm throwing him under the bus. I'm just assuming. I bet there's like a Don Bluth quote from the 80s being like, 3D animation. I don't know about this.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if he actually felt that way. I just got that vibe of like somebody who was creating very original 2D animation in the
Yeah.
80s while 3D animation was starting to become a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the brush starts fighting Moki a little bit every time she takes credit for the painting. Every time she
Mm-hmm.
starts to mention a little bit about like the work she did or what she was doing, the brush starts to vibrate a little more in her hand. And the more credit she takes for it, the more the brush starts to react.
Interesting. That's like the opposite of what Marjorie says the brush is doing later, right?
Yeah, it's a little. Marjorie's whole part in this is a little confusing because at the
Yeah.
end we also get Philo and Gunge being like, "Did you plan that whole thing, Marjorie?" And Marjorie's like, "Maybe." And it's like, I don't. To what end? What were you possibly trying to accomplish
Just
here,
wanted to
Marjorie?
torture somebody for a while.
Which I guess we've seen her do that kind of thing before.
Yeah, I think that this I actually didn't pick up that the brush was going crazy the more she was taking credit for stuff. That there are some moments of this episode, like when she dips the brush in paint and no paint is on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of me is like that just makes sense for how they make the show, like whatever. Like maybe that's just a workaround. And then she's like, "Whoa, weird." So there were certain moments where like the puppetry or the thing that they were trying to get across was a little too subtle for me to pick up on.
Yeah, there's a moment here where she goes to paint in front of them after Pedley says the weird line about "but we weren't,"
Yeah.
and she paints a weird painting that kind of looks
An AI
like
painting.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it also kind of looks like Doozer buildings.
Oh yeah.
And so once again, I thought maybe that Doozer building was going to be important in some
It'll
way
inspire her
because
to do something new or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't. That's not. They don't
They'll
mention
never
Doozer
see it
paintings at
again.
all.
Yeah.
But then Wembley, for some reason, looks inside of Moki's pocket on her robe and notices, hey, Moki did a really good painting inside of her pocket as well.
That's a very odd part.
But it does lay the seed of doubt that Moki is doing all of this, I think, because
Yeah.
she stuck the brush in her pocket and it just went bloop. Good painting. You're welcome.
Yeah. I feel like there must have been a better way to do that, but I don't know what it is.
Right. Like if she just like threw the brush down.
Or she
and just
dropped it, or like accidentally like bumped into one of the Fraggles and like painted a splotch down their front that was like a painting.
Oh, yeah. She should have
something?
painted a Fraggle.
Yeah.
Well, the brush now won't stop trying to paint. And Pedley calls her out, saying, yeah, I think this is magic. You're cheating at being an artist. And Moki says, well, perhaps, but I'm the one controlling it.
What the fuck? How did they know?
Yeah, how'd they know?
It
that
must be
Moki-
about CGI. You're right.
Moki
Which
could just
is-
be like, I put in the prompts. I
Yeah.
am the artist.
Yeah.
Ugh. So they try to take the paintbrush back to the heap. And this is when Marjorie is unhelpful once again, saying, you have to paint your way out of this one.
Yeah.
If you want to stop painting, just start painting. So once Wembley helps Moki out a little bit, trying to unravel the mystery that Marjorie has put before them, the solution turns out to be that Moki just needs to use her tail like we've seen her do before. And so during this, she sings a song called Show Me, which is an all right song, but sort of one of those generic Moki songs we get every so often that doesn't really have a lot to do with the plot,
Yeah.
but it's just about things you can look at that are pretty.
Sunshine and birds and yeah.
Yeah, one of those you could drop sort of into any Moki episode and it would fit just as well.
I liked it though.
Well, Red says her painting is better than anything Pedley ever did, which felt like an unnecessary dig at Pedley.
She's, brutally honest.
But Moki says she doesn't care about that anymore. She just loves painting, and that's when the brush falls out of her hand. So Moki returns the paintbrush to Marjorie, and Marjorie says, "You finally get over your little brush with jealousy?"
Is that the first? Yeah, it's like I'm sure that we've had the episode title said in other episodes,
But not in this kind of
because
way.
it's like because the episode is called like the Cave of Destiny or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one is like too much.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she said the thing. That's the thing. And yeah, didn't love that. So Moki gives her painting to Marjorie since she put her through this hell, I guess. And Marjorie tries to give Moki something in return. I think, again, mostly to get rid of her shit.
Yeah,
But Moki won't accept it. So Marjorie reminds her to come back tomorrow for the swap meet.
please, I have too much crap.
And back up with Doc and Sprocket. Sprocket has overloaded the battery on the treadmill because he was too jealous, I guess, of
Or
Fluffanilla
something.
and worked
Yeah.
out too dang hard. I really wish we had seen like a check-in with Sprocket.
Where he was like,
Yeah. And
too.
but we just get him starting the treadmill and then we get the very, very end.
Yeah.
Where
It
he's
kind of
already
relies
overdone
on
it.
you knowing what's going to happen
Right.
in a way.
Well, what'd you rate that episode, Sam?
I gave this one 2.5 stars too. Because I think this could have been a really good episode about the creation of art, especially not just AI. Like that's a an aspect of it, but also looking at people's art on Instagram and like feeling
Yeah.
what's it called? What's the word? Unmotivated to make your own stuff because you're looking at people's stuff and you're like, that's so much better than mine.
Like a little
I
bit of an
couldn't
imposter
even-
syndrome.
Yeah. And learning to just like, you got to just, all you can do is what you're doing, and trying to do what somebody else is doing. It will only make you really sad. But it was not a very good episode. So it was fine, but it was just like, it could have been tightened up a little bit to be like a really good young artist lesson that it wasn't necessarily.
Yeah, I think it worked for me a little better because I was just thinking about the AI art part of it.
Yeah.
But like that's obviously not there. That's not what they're talking about. I was just like, oh, we need to like show this to people
Uh-huh.
who are not understanding the problems with AI art.
Yeah. It
And they're
is a
gonna be like,
little
why are you showing me a 40-year-old TV show? Stop it.
It is a little troubling that the thing that they were talking about is probably CGI, you're right? And that obviously is a perfectly valid form of art creation,
Right.
because you're making it yourself. You have to use your brain and your hands and stuff, but
Well, I type out my prompts with my hands, Sam.
just redraw it, man. I don't know. Just like paint over it.
Yeah. Well, the last episode we watched this week is Wembley's Flight from March 3rd, 1986, written by Mr. Jerry Jewell and directed by Eric Till. Doc's on the computer looking up stuff to prove that dogs can't fly. But
He shouldn't have to, but
he's not a scientist. He's just a tinkerer.
okay.
But Sprocket apparently has built some of his own very cool wings to try to fly.
And he's also invented an entire computer simulation.
Yeah, we get a very cute Sprocket, like Apple II Sprocket on the computer. Because there's I can't really tell what he's suggesting. I don't know if he's like saying like, well, maybe 2 wings won't work, but maybe 4 wings will work.
Yeah.
And then Doc says a bunch of, fake scientific gobbledygook.
Uh-huh.
And they put it into the computer to see if it'll work.
And the little Sprocket sprite goes bonk, bonk, brink, bink up the screen, and they're like, Eureka, we've done it.
Dogs can fly. Well, Red and Wembley are competing to balance rocks on their hands. Wembley is mad because his friends have gifts that they show off. and he doesn't have any gifts.
Yeah.
There's a very good puppetry moment in this that I'm not entirely sure exactly what they were doing there, but Red is balancing rocks on her
Yeah,
hand.
because they fall for real.
She
That's a great point.
like they're balancing, they are like not glued together. It looks like maybe they're tied together or something because they move a little bit when she moves.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end, she throws them away. Now, when she
Whoa.
throws them, it happens all very fast. The video quality isn't top notch, but her hand does go below the frame for a couple seconds after she throws them.
Yeah.
So
And somebody maybe like uppercuts the rock so they go flying.
I'm thinking that they're like detaching them from her hand,
Right.
so that this all can work out and she won't have the rock stuck to her hand for the rest of the scene.
I guess so. But there's a scene later where she drops them all. I mean, I suppose they're not real rocks, is for one. But
True, but it seems incredibly hard to balance anything on a puppet's
on a
hand.
little stick. Yeah.
This is when we see the spider fly flying around and it lands on a snare blossom. So Wembley very sweetly helps it escape, and it turns into an odd old man who looks a bit like a Gorch character, but also Uncle Deadly. And apparently, some spider flies are magical and can turn into beautiful fairy godmothers and grant wishes.
I didn't like this episode, but this character was very funny, I thought.
Yeah, this is I guess what we are learning here is that this is a spider fly who can transform into a fairy godmother, but is currently wearing an odd old man disguise.
But I just really love the way that he's like, yeah, we're magic. And that's how he approaches every bit of magic in this episode. He's just like, I'm just magic. I don't know what more explanation you could possibly want from me.
There's a frustrating amount of like almost magic lore that doesn't get explored in this episode.
Yeah.
And so he gives Wembley some wishes, and Wembley's first wish is for a toasted radish sandwich. And
I really like this part too. The guy's like, that is not what you want to wish for.
yeah, he's like, I was flying over here. I just heard you talking about how you wish you could fly. I appeared and said, wish for anything you want, and you said a sandwich. I know that's not what you want.
And a shirt and something for your friend, you idiot.
He asked for a button for his shirt.
Oh, a button. That's what he said.
And a guitar pick for Gobo.
Okay.
And then the odd old man says, stop pussyfooting around.
The way that he hits Pussyfoot is very like,
a little jarring to hear Fraggle.
I know what you're trying to say.
He reminds Wembley that he wanted to fly and cast some magic, and now Wembley can sort of fly.
Badly at first, I suppose. Beautifully by the end.
Yeah, he kind of just jumps slowly and a little bit higher, like he's on the moon. And we find out he can only fly 3 times. And that first one counted. So now he only has 2 flights left. Wembley gets excited to show off for everyone. He tells Gobo and Red about the spider fly, and of course they don't believe him because he sounds insane.
Because it's really stupid.
So he wants to show them, but decides not to waste his second flight, and so he's going to gather everyone in Fraggle Rock and jump out of Moki and Red's window to fly around the Great Hall.
Concerning. It would be concerning to hear somebody say this to you if they were your friend.
Yeah. If I came over to your house and was like, Sam, you're never going to believe what happened. Just wait. I'm going to get up on your roof. I'm going to jump off and fly. Hopefully, you would stop me from doing that. So he goes to jump out the window, and Red pulls him back to save him. Wembley gets extremely upset because no one believes him, not even his friend Gobo. So Wembley decides to leave and never come back because his friends don't believe him, and he says, I'm a friend, and friends don't lie. Then we get another sad Wembley song called Heart in a Hanky.
I liked this song a lot.
Yeah, it's about, he's just running away from home and him singing about how nobody cares about him.
It's got kind of a fun country western twang to it a little bit. And the set, I think, is beautiful in this part. It's kind of like Seussian almost, with like these weird shaped trees that are blowing around in this forlorn wind.
Well, the other Fraggles realize Wembley is gone. There's a great moment where they're talking about Wembley took his thing.
He took his thing and left. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Because his only thing he owns is his spare banana tree shirt.
Yeah, that was a very Jerry Jewell moment of the episode.
Yeah. Uncle Traveling Matt, who is still just hanging out, chimes in.
He's truly just sitting at a table, like, bored.
Yeah. He jumps in and is like, "Oh, there's a time I tried to do something impossible."
Yeah. So when he's like, he mumbles like, "That happened to me once."
Turns out he was exercising on a beach in outer space when he saw surfers walking on water.
I don't think you should do push-ups on the sand. Doesn't that seem like it would be bad for you?
Maybe it's harder. Maybe it gives you
Yeah,
bigger muscles.
maybe you're right.
And he says he tried to walk on water and failed, but really what happens is someone handed him a surfboard and it
And
fell
it
on him.
smooshed him. Yeah.
So, not a great one from Uncle Traveling Matt this
Not
time.
really. Thanks for your input, Matt.
That's what Sam says at the end of every podcast recording.
Yeah, and I hang up on you.
Yeah. He just edits it out of every episode, so
Yeah.
you guys don't have to hear the disdain in his voice.
Disgusted by this man. Yeah.
So Wembley tries to fly again because he starts to doubt himself that maybe I can't fly. And the Spiderfly fairy godmother pops back up and scolds Wembley for taking too long to use up his wishes.
Yeah, I guess this doesn't make any sense. But if he was like, I can only grant one wish at a time or something, and you need to use yours up so I could do it again. But no.
It'd be
nothing
great,
like
Sam,
that.
if he said those words.
Yeah, he doesn't imply there's any reason that he's impatient for him to use the magic.
He says, I can't leave unused wishes just laying around. But why? Why not?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
How, if you can only fly 3 times in your whole life, don't you think you'd want to save those for important times over the course of your entire existence?
I would
say
love
so.
just one extra line of something like you said, where he's just like, I gotta go grant other wishes. Or,
Yeah.
Maybe it was a thing where, he transforms back into a spider fly and back and forth throughout this. If there was something where he was stuck as the odd old man
Yeah.
until Wembley used all his wishes, and he's like, hey, I really got to transform back into a fly.
And
so
he
I can
couldn't fly because he does at
Yeah.
the end say, I love flying. Flying's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like take something away from him to
Mhm.
give it a little bit of drama.
You can have my power of flight for a while to see how it feels.
Yeah. But instead, we just get him a couple times sort of menacingly being like, you got to use your wishes, man.
But
And
not
it's
really
like,
that menacingly also.
No. But it's implied that it's very important that Wembley use these wishes and use the
Mhm.
flight. But
Yeah.
we don't actually get any reason behind that. So Wembley goes to find just the worst group of Fraggles who might believe him. He gets large Marvin, Marlin, and Marvin's best friend Feeny, who they're all just terrible.
Well, Large Marvin's kind of okay because he is just like, can I have a ride if you fly? Which I think is kind of sweet. But
Yeah, he
they
says,
are
I'll
all
curl up in your arms.
yeah, they do all want something from him though.
Yeah, Feeny wants him to fly up and scare the fur off the Gorgs. But Marlin, the absolute worst Fraggle, wants Wembley to fly around with a banner tied to him that says, Elect Marlin, King of the Fraggles.
I like this guy. I wish we saw more of Marlin. He's so funny.
I think kind of like Sujith talked about Wander
Yeah.
McMooch being too bad of a character to
Uh-huh.
throw the ecosystem off.
Yeah.
I think Marlin throws off the ecosystem if he's around too often. He would be
You're
the
right.
foil of every single Fraggle Rock episode.
Yeah, that's true. He's
Like
but
Red and
what's-
Moki could disagree about their apartment, but then they remember that Marlin exists and they're like, oh, our fights mean nothing
Yeah,
compared to
you're
the
right.
actual Fraggle who's trying to
depravity
take
of
over the
this
world.
guy. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But a little bit of more Marlin in the background, silently trying to take over Fraggle Rock, would be a nice addition.
Yeah. He must always be off doing something.
Well, when the other Fraggles come in and start arguing with the terrible Fraggles about Wembley and this flight and if they believe him or not, we get a really awkwardly long pause as we get a close-up on Wembley, who just kind of sits there listening to this happen. And then it's like he remembered that he had a line.
Yeah. This part's
And-
really weird.
Yeah. And then he just goes, this is worse than before. And then we transition to the next scene.
It's really unclear to me, at least, and I watched this part a couple times, what exactly his friends are there fighting
Yeah.
about with these other guys.
I think it's the don't encourage him.
Yeah, but that's another thing where they don't actually, I don't think they ever actually say that. Or
Right.
maybe they do, and if they do, it's just not, I don't know. But this part is very strange.
Well, this is when the odd old man fairy godmother shows up again and Wembley says, you're mad because I haven't used my wish yet. And we almost get something because the fairy godmother says, well, a mere Fraggle cannot violate the underlying cosmic laws of the universe. Haven't you read the rule book? But it turns out he doesn't actually have the rule book with him, so we don't get to learn any more than what he just says in that sentence.
Yeah, that part kind of worked for me. And then his book is actually How to Cook a Bug, which I think is a
Yeah.
very funny title for a book.
But unfortunately, that goes no further than that. But it is time for another song. This song is Free and High, which is used in the fantastic I'm Pogie episode of the new season of Back to the Rock.
Huh.
And this one is not as good, I will say.
This version.
This version.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the way it builds to it in the I'm Pogie episode is just so perfectly that like the story makes so much sense with the song. And this one is just kind of like it's song time now.
Yeah, okay. I
But
liked this part too. I really liked the songs in this episode.
I think they're good songs. I just think I enjoy the songs more when they feel like a person is learning a lesson or
Right.
clarifying their stance on something.
And the song is the last piece of that puzzle, which,
Right.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of what's happening here, but the lesson he's learning is a little unclear. So,
yeah, because basically what he ends up doing is deciding to fly one last time, and it doesn't matter if anyone knows.
he doesn't even really actually want anyone to see him, not even the fairy godmother.
Mm. So he takes off and just flies all around the rock. He like lingers over Gobo while he's sleeping.
A little creepy.
A little creepy, a little Edward Cullen-y.
Yeah.
But then just flies through the rock. He nails it on this one. He flies for like a
does.
good solid 2 or 3 minutes.
It's odd. It's a really like kind of beautiful part, but also kind of a strange part.
I like when he flies past the doozers and they don't care at all.
Yeah, they probably have unlocked the power of flight for themselves. So I just think that there's part of this episode that's like there's like it was like half the script was written like he could fly and people want to take advantage of him, and half the episode was like I just don't understand all the way what he's learned at the end by flying for himself. That I don't know how that fits into with what talent he has or whatever, like how he's supposed to feel better about himself after that is over.
Well, and if he's trying to if the whole thing is that he should learn not to show off,
Yeah.
I don't think he learns that lesson either because it's one of those challenging things where like we know he's right. Like we know he can fly.
Oh, I thought you meant he doesn't have any talent.
No. We know he can fly. We know if they just let him, we would see him fly.
Yes.
And he's not even, at a certain point, he's not trying to do it to show off.
Yeah.
At a certain point, he's trying to do it so that his friends will
they'll
believe him.
Right.
And so everyone else is the bad guy a little bit.
Yeah. It's like the setup of this episode is flawed with the talent thing.
Yeah. And I think because basically it's one of those episodes, and we've had things like this before, where like it ends and everyone else thinks they're right still.
Right.
Like everyone else thinks Wembley just had a crazy day where he thought he could fly. And I don't like that. I wish that during his flight, somebody saw him. Whether it was Cotterpin or whether it was the world's oldest Fraggle or like a random character could report back and be like, oh, everyone, I just saw Wembley flying.
Yeah, but to what end is that also?
Because then they know he was telling the truth the whole time. In this, it's like everyone just accepts that like, oh, yeah, no, Wembley just lied to us all for a day. Like, I like the thing. I feel like you could get both. I like the idea that Wembley does this thinking no one will see him, that he is just, comfortable in himself, knowing that he had the power of flight, and he lands. He's like, that's 3. And he accepts now that no one will ever know.
Mm-hmm.
I like him learning that lesson, so I want that to stay. But if we find out that someone did actually see him and could verify it to the other people, I think you still can do both things.
Yeah. I still feel like the episode doesn't mean anything, even with that in that respect, too. Like,
yeah. Well, and it tries to give us a little, like, I'm going to go back there someday feeling at the end when Wembley gets into bed and says, like, I don't think I'll ever forget about flying.
right,
Not
because
ever.
Gobo thinks he's right, and he's like, why don't you just forget about this crazy dream that you had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But up with Doc and Sprocket, we find out that Doc built a scale model to see if Sprocket can actually fly. And the answer is no. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if that really would prove it, but
Yeah, it's like I could pick up a toy plane and just drop it and be like, guess planes can't fly.
yeah, that's true.
Like, you need some wind, Doc. You need to actually
Yeah,
throw it off of a scale garage. Don't
yeah.
just drop it on your workbench.
The wingspan, yeah, it's all messed up. Doc's not a scientist, as you said.
But what would you rate that episode, Sam?
I also gave this one 2.5 stars
Wow,
because
real
I really liked
just
the
above average
songs.
week.
I mean, I think in my heart they should probably all be 2-star episodes. I just couldn't make myself do it. I felt too bad. But yeah, these 3 episodes, like we said at the beginning, they felt. I don't like the moral. I don't really understand the moral of the last episode. It feels very similar to the one before it. They're all 3 kind of just like a gray mush of Fraggle Rock. There's nothing really stand out about any of these 3 episodes, in my opinion. But you loved the Blue Rollie one.
I love the Blue Rollie one. I think the Wembley one was my least favorite of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like the Moki one a little bit more than you, but I definitely think it has its problems.
I think it just could have been a fantastic episode instead of just an okay episode.
Well, that brings us, Sam, then to our famous segment where I ask you, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
I didn't really do anything, and I'm realizing it's because I talked to you like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's
And
only
you-
been a couple days since we recorded the last episode, so we haven't had a lot of time to
Yeah.
add new things to that list.
I was like, "What's wrong with me?" We kind of stole my thunder at the beginning though, because I was gonna say I mowed my lawn, and I love mowing my lawn. I got an
That was
electric
going to be one of mine too, Sam.
Damn. I got an electric lawnmower late last year,
Ew.
and just been tooting that thing around the yard. And an electric weed eater makes a huge difference. Don't have that. I had a corded one before, very annoying.
Yeah,
But
I need to. I think that's gonna be my big investment this year, Sam. Because I need to. It's a tangent on top of a tangent. You call it a weed eater, right?
A weed eater, yeah.
Okay. I grew up calling it a weed whacker.
Yeah. I don't have like a strong preference about which one is which, and I suspect probably weed whacker would be more correct in most of the world, but
it feels bad to say.
Weed whacker. Yeah, it does. Right.
Like,
Weed
I'm going to go
eater,
outside and
weed
weed
eater.
whack.
Yeah, but I'm going to go outside and weed eat also sounds bad.
Yeah, neither one's great.
Yeah.
But like it's one of those things like when you bring it up in an actual conversation, like if I go to the hardware store and I want to buy a new one, where your weed whacker's at, I don't want to say that out loud.
What'd you just say to me?
But like weed whacker is where my brain goes first when I'm talking about what that thing is.
Is it regional?
Maybe.
Or am I just weird? Because I grew up with
I think
southern...
See, I feel like weed whackers feel southern to me.
Weed eater is the most common name in the U.S., apparently, according to yourgreenpal.com. Whatever that is.
Whippersnipper.
I like that.
I've never heard that one, though. String trimmer. That's what they're called.
That is what you're supposed to call them. You know what? I saw that literally at the exact same time that you did too, and thought, that's the word.
That's when I go to the hardware store, I say, where are your string trimmers?
And some people are saying Weed Eater is a brand, or was previously a brand. Maybe not anymore. In Australia, they call them whippersnippers. Yeah.
Good job, Australia.
Edger. You can call them an edger, too.
Not going to say that one.
Yeah, the one is also bad. I need a weed whacker so I can do some edging.
Where are your edging tools at, Mr. Home Depot?
Yeah. So yeah, string trimmer is what you should call them. Just for all you people out there at the beginning of your life as an adult. Someday you may need to buy one of these things. When you're at the hardware store, call it a string trimmer and they'll say, you're a genius. But
if you already do say one of these things, let us know which one you say.
Yeah. We'll take an informal poll.
Before I got off on that tangent, I wanted to say I think my big investment this summer, Sam, will be a cordless string trimmer.
Yeah.
Because I have a corded one still, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's so freaking annoying. But it's better than it's like it's better than having a gas one, I suppose. But yeah, I love mowing my lawn. That's my this week because I listened to a podcast, and it's just so. It was like yesterday was like the most beautiful, perfect day. Ever.
Day. It was one of those where I'm like, it was one of those. This is the reason I live in Missoula kind of days.
Yeah.
Look at the mountains, be outside. It's beautiful weather.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah, getting a little early start on it this year too, which is a little
Mhm.
fine.
It can become our
Um,
mowing segment of the week.
yeah, but and then Rachel will start doing her gardening soon. So I mowed partially so she could get in there and start pulling out stuff from last year. And yeah, so I love this is like great time of the year to live in Missoula is right. And there aren't that many good times of year to live in Missoula.
Yeah, we got a good, 6, 7 months where it's very cold and gray and gross.
Sometimes more than that. But yeah. So how about you? Did you watch anything?
I
Are
did
you?
watch Good One, a show about jokes, which is like a
Oh.
mini documentary about Mike Birbiglia that's on Peacock. And it's a weird thing because it feels like it would be like the first episode of a series, but I also don't think it is.
Hmm.
But it also doesn't feel like it's a full-on, hour and a half long documentary about Mike Birbiglia. So it's
I
this
don't
weird
think
middle
you're
ground
right.
where they just sort of like made one episode of a thing about Mike Birbiglia. So maybe it's like a
Interesting.
pilot for something they can like do
Oh, it's
future
based on a
episodes of.
podcast.
Well, so yeah, I listened to Working
Okay.
It Out, Mike Birbiglia's podcast. And
Oh,
if you've
okay.
listened to every episode of his podcast, you will not learn a lot of new stuff watching the show.
Uh-huh.
But it is a very good show. I also, though, want to check in, Sam, because you never reported back on your Godzilla
Oh.
Kong
I
experience.
realized that as I was editing last week. I didn't like it. Did you see it yet?
Oh, I did not.
I didn't like Kong versus Godzilla. So I also learned how you're supposed to say it. I read an article. Kong, Godzilla. That's how you say it.
Okay. Which I
You're
think
doing
is
it.
where we landed last
I
time. I
think
think
I
that's
think
what we
that was
thought.
at least one of the things we thought.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't really like Kong versus Godzilla that much because I
Right.
really do think uh, King of the Monsters is like one of the best Godzilla movies by a long shot.
Well, just like the 2014 Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and King of the Monsters are so good.
Yeah.
And I do feel like Godzilla versus Kong went a little astray.
Yes. And yeah, I just think Kong and Godzilla are two great tastes that don't necessarily taste great together. Cause Kong, they just navigate the world so differently
Right.
that to see Godzilla try to like be on the same intellectual level as King Kong is just like I don't know. He just comes across as kind of like an afterthought. Godzilla does,
Hmm.
and Kong's story is like dangerously close to like a Planet of the Apes. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
see them stomping around.
There's like a big evil ape in the Hollow Earth kind of story.
Yeah. It had its moments. It was fun to watch. Obviously, it would have to be they have to screw up pretty bad for it not to be fun to watch.
Yeah. But when
And
you're like, oh, yeah, there's 100 other big apes, King Kong seems a little less impressive.
and I have just such a big problem with the Hollow Earth concept in general. Because I've said before,
Mm-hmm.
they are not big in Hollow Earth. They are
Right.
normal sized, and that is not fun because they're supposed to be big.
Right. The context, the whole reason so many people like the 2014 Godzilla movie is because scale is very important to telling one of these stories. And so when you go
Yes.
into a Hollow Earth, and not only is everything just a CGI magic jungle, but like the scale is all back to sort of normal, it
Yeah.
does not have the same impact.
Yeah. And I think what you're just making me realize something else is like for as much as people say oh the people are so stupid, like I don't want to see the people in a Godzilla movie.
Mm.
You have to see the people in the Godzilla movie.
The
And this
people get 90% of the screen time in the old Godzilla movies.
and Godzilla's a freaking metaphor. The monsters are a metaphor. They
Right.
always are a metaphor.
It's not your cool friend.
Yeah, even in King of the Monsters, which is maybe one of the dumber like Rock'em Sock'em ones in a lot of ways, he's still like there's still like a family who's trying to find each other
Yeah.
and a mom who's kind of like betrayed them in this interesting and Dr. Shinagawa is interesting. But in this one, the people are they have done it. They have done the we don't want to see people and it does not work out. For the better. But the people are fine. Like Dan
Yeah.
Stevens, Dan
Yeah.
Stevens. He's really like fun in it in a really stupid way. He's playing like a veterinarian for giant monsters. And he's King Kong's doctor basically. And that concept is really cool, but they
Right.
just explore it so very little. Like that could have been he could be the character of the TV show, He could be like gotta help King Kong feel better. He's sick or something, and
Was
he's the
there
one going on an adventure.
anything at all referencing the TV show?
What do you think in a million years there would ever be anything referencing the TV show?
No.
No, there's not, unfortunately. Which, yeah, it's sad. It's bad. I don't understand why TV shows and movies, like, they keep trying to do this thing where they're like, this is gonna really mean something. Even the Marvel TV
Mhm.
shows, like, don't. I'm sure that when the new Captain America movie comes out, you don't have to have watched Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Do you think, speaking of both of those shows, Wyatt Russell will be involved?
In
The new Captain America movie.
He's in Thunderbolts.
Oh.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
already confirmed to be in that. So he'll come back. That's true. I guess, he'll spin off into something else, but
Yeah.
you probably won't have to watch that either. They'll probably recap it in a more interesting way in the movie that completely nullifies the reason to watch it.
They'll just show the footage of him beating someone to death with his shield.
Yeah. But, I wouldn't even really recommend like you rush out to see it because there's not much going on in it.
That's a bummer.
That's unfortunate because, I love those two guys.
Well, before we get out of here, got to let you know what we're watching next time. Because next time, we're going to finish off March of 1986 as we also finish up Season 4 of Fraggle Rock.
It came and went too fast.
That's what happens when you split a season in two.
Yeah.
Again, the seasons are weird because what we're finishing up is the 4th season as it was broadcast by HBO, not as it was produced. Because there was technically no 5th season produced, even though there was one broadcast.
Yeah.
But we will be watching the last 4 episodes of the season, and those are Red's Blue Dragon, Wonder Mountain, Space Frog Follies,
What?
and Boober Gorg.
Oh, wow. These sound interesting.
Yeah, Red's Blue Dragon, the thumbnail for that is wild.
Yeah, that guy looks wacky.
And
I
then
can't wait to see
Space
him moving.
Frog Follies is very confusing.
Ooh, yeah. Does a real frog jump down into Fraggle Rock?
I hope so.
Me too. Oh my God, that is what happens.
That is what happens? Oh no.
I just saw a picture of Wembley looking into a terrarium with a frog that he is keeping secret.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitmentstuff.com for all your commitment merch needs. And if you want to email us, you can do so at mail@commitment.com if you have any questions or links to hidden Muppet materials. You can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at CommitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.